Hey everyone, so I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. It's a product review, and I should say right off the bat that I have no connection to this company. They didn't send me this product. I'm not being paid for it. They didn't give me any incentives to do this. I've never communicated with them. This is strictly something that I wanted to do. It's actually something I've been wanting to do for a while. This is a product review for a smart light bulb called Lifx. I used to think it was called Lifx. It's spelled Lifx, but apparently, according to their website, it's Lifx. Just a bit of advice, especially for my students that watch this. If you're going to start up a company, it's a good idea to give it a name that will not cause people confusion as to how exactly it's pronounced. But anyway, I was pretty happy with these bulbs. I'd never heard of them before. I just took a shot in the dark a while ago getting one for a different location, and I was pretty happy with them, and so I got a couple more for this location where I am now. And I thought I would give you an idea of how it is they work. If you've ever been thinking about getting one but haven't quite, didn't bite the bullet yet, then I thought I would walk through some of these. There are a couple of major shortcomings, however, that I'm also going to highlight. So you can see here on the screen, there's the lights in the background up in the upper left-hand corner, and I know that it's hard to see, but the back end camera on a smartphone like this is just not meant to be taking these bright videos. So we'll do the best we can. So I wanted to say again, because this is going to be important, that I have one of these light bulbs in another building, in another physical location, and then I've got these two here. And so you can see, this is the home screen right off the bat, and you can see it says groups and then office. You can control the individual lights just by tapping on these. And normally I just control them with the wall switch. I'm not doing that this time. And if you do control it with the wall switch, the app doesn't seem to realize that they've been turned off. It still indicates that they're on. But we'll turn them back on. There's one, there's the other. Very easy. And I guess I'll mention this now. I was going to put it off until the end of the thing, but it has neat integrations. For example, Nest. But the Nest is the big problem with these lights too. See, at both locations where I have these lights, I have the lights and I also have Nest smoke detectors. And a really fantastic thing about this is you can connect the smoke detector to the light bulbs. Or I guess to say it properly, you can connect the light bulbs to the Nest smoke detector. And when you do that, if the smoke detector determines if something is wrong, if it detects smoke or detects carbon monoxide, then it can flash the lights or do something else, which I think would be very helpful, either for you or for first responders or whoever it is that's going to be dealing with this situation. The problem is, if you look at the bottom here, it says disconnect Nest, and that's the issue. I only have the light connected to the Nest smoke detector at the other address, at the other building. When I tried to connect these lights to this Nest smoke detector, I couldn't do it. All I got was disconnect Nest. So it appears that if you have these lights in multiple locations, multiple physical locations, you can only connect them to a Nest smoke detector once, and you can never do it again. So if you had a house and a business and a cabin somewhere in the mountains and you wanted to set these up at all of those, you wouldn't be able to do it. It's a one connection thing. That's not okay. It's a major flaw, a significant shortcoming, and it really needs to be fixed. I should also say that all of this is at least as far as I can tell. If there is a way to do it, I wasn't able to figure it out. So I will continue to look at that because I think it's insanely useful. It's one of the huge advantages if you could just connect it wherever you wanted to. As of right now, again, at least as far as I can tell, you can only connect the lights to a Nest smoke detector one time, and that's it. So pick your connection carefully. Let's go back. It also has this, if this, then that, IFTTT. That's just a neat kind of rule-based thing. You can set up an electronic device, a digital device, to respond in a certain way to a particular stimulus. And here, some of these are good. I think they're useful. If you have an Arlo and that detects motion, turn on the lights when you arrive home, blink your Lifx lights when your Uber is arriving. That would be nice, huh? But then, here's change the color of your lights when it starts raining. Yeah, in Southern California, sure, although we have had good rain. But some of these are a little more concerning. Blink lights when you're tagged on Facebook, blink lights when you're mentioned on Twitter. Come on now. I think you need to do some introspection if you're using those. But some of these are very useful, and especially if, like me, you're hard of hearing and you might not notice that something has happened, that your phone rang, or that, an email message came in. I think there's some real usefulness there. So let's talk about controlling the lights themselves. Oh, by the way, you can buy some of these. I think the Mini Color, the pink one in the upper right, I believe that's what these are. So we're going to go into the individual group here. Oh, that's another thing I should mention. The groups are really nice. So if you have, these are in my home office, but if I also had some in the kitchen, some in the bedroom, some in the bathroom, wherever else I had them, I could control those groups individually. So I could turn them all on, I could change the colors all at once, or I could control the individual lights, which I think is a pretty nice thing. So here it's very easy. If I slide this thing around, we get some subtle color changes, nothing major though, because this guy right here, this slider, is down towards the white. But if we move it up to where the actual color is and start sliding around, we get very dramatic changes in color, and it's very easy to change. It's very easy to switch around. I'm just sliding my thumb around on the dial here, and it works beautifully. It's very responsive. The changes are very noticeable. The colors are very vibrant. I don't know how well you can see it in the video there, but it really works very well. I'm going to slide it back down to white. And if we slide over to here, this is another thing I think is pretty interesting. You can actually control the Kelvin temperature of the light itself. So I like lights that are warm. I like warm lights unless you're doing, icicle decorations during the holidays or something. But I always leave it right here on this really very, very warm, it's like a cozy kind of light. And it does a pretty good job of reflecting warm light. Not completely warm, but close enough. And you can go more and more towards the cold if you'd like. And I mean, if you really like harsh blue lights, the kind you see again in those icicle decorations, for example, that you'll see around the holidays. If you really want a harsh cold blue, you can do that. But big switch to yellow first. But I like it warm, but it's a pretty nice ability to control it. Something else I want to mention, these dim down pretty far. And that's remarkable for an LED light. Not all LED lights can do this. The website claims that it can dim down until about maybe 2%, I think. Usually LEDs can dim down to about 10%, and then they just shut off. Unlike a regular light bulb, which you can dim all the way up and down. But these do dim pretty far, and I really have to give them credit for that. It's unusual. It's unusual for an LED. Under Create, I'm not entirely sure what this is for, but you can see, oh look, those are new. There's some Super Bowl themed ones there. But if you select one of these, relaxing, energizing, for example, here's tranquil, powerful. I don't exactly know what these are or what they mean, but they just switch the color settings a little bit. The other thing I like is that it changes them for both lights. So it makes each light a slightly different color. So it's aware that there are two, and it doesn't just apply a universal color to all of them. And if we switch over one, here are just some standard colors. I'm not sure why this is here when we have the dial, unless it's for people who just say, I want a pure green. For example, they tap on that and it switches to green, or a pure blue or pure red, and they don't want to have to, they don't want to have to mess with the dial and try to get exactly the shade they want. That's the only thing I can think of there. Here are effects. There aren't that many of them, but they're interesting, I guess. For example, if we do flicker, it does that, as you would expect. Turn that off. Here's random. Sometimes it takes a while to get started. I'm not exactly sure why, but it just cycles between colors, and it does it for each light individually, which I think is a pretty nice touch as well. Turn that off. My favorite one here is spooky. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing because, unfortunately, the minimum setting that it has is 60 seconds. But if I tap on that, what it'll do is it'll start flickering the lights. Like in the zombie apocalypse movies when they go into an abandoned store, abandoned hospital or something like that. And for some reason the power is still magically running, except all the lights are flickering on and off. So it'll do that for a while, and then they'll go bright red and then turn off. It's really a great thing. We're not going to wait the whole 60 seconds for that last part, but it's a really neat thing. There is something else I want to mention, though, and that's this music visualizer. When I do the music visualizer, it starts to do things like this. Well, it's not doing anything now. Oh, there it goes. And what I've noticed is that even if it's completely silent, and even if I'm blocking the microphone on the phone, it still switches around the colors. So I don't know. I have the sneaking suspicion it's not actually responding to music. I put on songs with very, very heavy rhythms, and it still seemed to just kind of shift the colors randomly. So I'm not convinced that the music visualizer is actually music visualizing. And, of course, strobe, you have to hold it down. You get a warning. If you're aware, strobe effects can set off epilepsy. But there you go. And it won't stay on its own. And then there's day and dusk. This is also a nifty thing. I'm not going to move the video out of the way because it's actually covering up the address of this place. But you can set the lights to turn on, turn off, get brighter, get dimmer, change color, do whatever you want at varying times of the day. This can really help with sleep, with energy, with helping wake up in the morning. This is a pretty nifty thing. Again, I don't use this, but I like that it's here, and I may use it at some point in the future. So there you go. Actually, that's the whole thing. If they improve the music visualizer, and especially if they fix the issue with Nest, with the Nest integration, then I think this is a really nifty thing. The only other bulb I'm aware of that does this kind of stuff is the Philips Hue. I'm sure there are a few others. This wasn't terribly cheap. I think it was about $45 for one light bulb, or maybe around 40 if I remember correctly. But I'm really happy with it. It's very easy to use. It's it's fun just to mess with, frankly. Sometimes when I'm Skyping with people, if I'm agreeing with what they're saying or not agreeing, I'll just kind of subtly change the color in the background. They know what's up. So there you go. It's the Lifx light bulb. It's very good. Some shortcomings, but hopefully this helped you understand what it's about, how it works, and how the app works.